like, but I'm able to add the part that I'm a clinician with Youth and Family Services. Everything you tell me is confidential, and that is kind of like a weight off their shoulders. Not that our police department isn't awesome, but so sometimes people get nervous talking to officers. So the fact that I'm able to differentiate myself from them, I didn't realize how much of an impact that would be, but it's huge.
And our officers have an understanding. They're not going to go to Maya going, "Hey, I'm working this criminal case. Can you see if you can get a confession or more evidence?"
Right.
So I could go probable cause. So they're aware of that. They're aware that there's definitely a line of where we're not going to utilize her to build a criminal case against anyone. So.
And you agree with that?
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to wander on your backyard, but been exposed to enough healthcare environment to say the magic mushroom is the statement, I'm entertaining thoughts of hurting myself. That will get you into an emergency department, it will get you admitted often, and the corollary of that is if I'm going to hurt myself, I may want to hurt other people as well. So, I really appreciate the fact that there is an aspect of that where, there's this level of trouble and concern and emotional distress, and then there's the next level where goes with the domestic dispute. Are there any guns registered to the residents? And so I think what you're doing, can be very impactful. Also, recognizing the confidentiality. When you hand off a resident to an insured mental health provider, recognizing, as I said, the confidentiality, do you get any feedback? Is there any way you get feedback as to whether the individual is going to his or her treatment or stopped going? Do you get any connection at all in that situation?
So that's only if they tell me. So I can't, unless if I have a release of information, but I wouldn't normally, keep tabs on someone to see if they're going to call their provider. I would just, I would call them. Unless if it's a YDT case in a kid and a part of the conditions was that they have to seek therapy. In that case, the therapist might reach out to someone on the team, and I'm on the team, so they might reach out to me. But other than that, it's just whatever they report to me. So.
Do you get a sense what you're doing is similar to what some other communities are doing, or again, our reference is along the shoreline? Are we still, is the service you're offering still somewhat unique when we look at law enforcement and, other social counseling available?
I would say so. I know Guilford has a social worker, Branford has one, but I don't, with the other neighboring towns, I don't really know I don't think they really have someone like me embedded at their police department, so I would say it's pretty unique. It is a growing field, but I would say I'd consider Madison one of the first on the shoreline to get a social worker.
Wasn't it part of the police accountability bill?
I think it was, but
again, I know not everybody is doing it because it costs money.
You should have one, but we're not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have someone to help you with your wellness? Because you're taking on a lot, and do you have people that you can talk to?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. I think even the community at the PD, everyone's very close, and I feel like everyone has each other's backs here. And I also have Youth and Family Services, so if I'm really having a tough time, I could always utilize a clinician there, but I feel pretty
If you need it, yeah.
Yeah,
Right, because
absolutely.
you're taking on a lot of emotional stuff from other people, and it's not easy.
It adds up.
It adds up.
Well, this was very, very helpful. I would also urge you and Captain, as your interim supervisor, just to try to look at how we integrate your data getting into a fiscal year basis, so it's part of our annual statistical review. I mean, at some point, whether consolidated in some way, Maya, but we look at, traffic, training, community outreach, and here's a key part of community outreach, and here's the statistics that we have and we look at, because it can be very impactful. I'd like to think we're gonna be able to improve our staffing with our police officers, but the fact that you've taken some specific focused assistance away from an officer who really should be devoting more time to other activities, criminal, other public safety, I think is a tremendous step forward. And it's like anything else. It's still kind of new now. It's like body cameras. Now, where's your body camera? Well, at some point, hopefully, we're gonna say, did the social worker, follow up? Because this is the fourth time we've been to the house. So, anyway, thank you very much. It was a very helpful presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you, Captain, for organizing it.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure, absolutely.
You mentioned that you presented to the Rotary Club,
Mhm.
right? Are there other civic or other town organizations that you've presented to? Like, I'm kind of going towards like, who else knows about this, or like who else has asked to get more information from you, like, and then therefore, like, how can we continue to spread the word?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the Rotary Club and the library staff. I did a presentation there. But I have my business cards kind of scattered throughout town.
You
but
do.
The senior center, have you done things there?
I keep meaning to, I really need to. I have a working relationship with Heather over there. She's awesome. So I keep meaning to go over there and do a day. So that's, that'll get planned.
May 26th.
Good,
Thank
thank you very
you.
much. Appreciate it, thank you. Okay. Yeah, by the way, Maya,
Thank
We
you.
kept it long enough.
we kept you long enough, thank you. So, let's cover the other issues if we could. Cover liaison with state agencies, anything
Nothing
going on
for you.
there? Okay. Okay, I guess we're there. Let me just deal with an administrative issue. I've had the honor and privilege to serve as chair for the police commission for a number of years. It's been just a very rewarding experience, and I like to think it has been, I've just been part of a really terrific team. And not so much the chairman, but just simply part of a group of five that has functioned very, very well. We've been, I think, an extraordinarily non-political. I think we've just have dealt with some real challenging issues in terms of officer related issues over the last number of years. And in 2026, I'm going to be doing a little more traveling, so I am going to step down as chairman, in the chairman's role. I understand I've been reappointed, so I would certainly like to continue as a police commissioner. In that regard, as a chairman, I've had a discussion with Ann, who served as vice chair, and she has expressed a willingness to take on the role of chair, which I'm absolutely delighted. I also had the opportunity to talk individually with other members of the commission, and certainly the chief as well, who absolutely really endorsed her interest and willingness to take on the chairmanship role. So what I'd like to do tonight is nominate Ann to take on the role of a chairman We've talked about whether it might be helpful for me to take on the role of vice chair, but that is also a nominated and elected position. I certainly would be willing to do that for 2 or 3 months to get us through the budget process, and we're involved in some other leadership evaluations. But the key issue is to the nomination of Ann to take on the role of chair, and I would might like to make that nomination at this point. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of appointing Ann as chairman of the police commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ann, your vote counts as well. Congratulations, you're the new vice chair. Okay.
You can pass the gavel.
I feel like I should get you a better piece of,
That's gonna be the
So-
first order of business. So, then we need to nominate you for vice chair for the temporary, for the foreseeable future until we move on, right?
Right.
Right, okay, so I would like to nominate Ed as vice chair for, to replace me, in order to, have us move through the budget process and our, leadership evaluations. So, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Ayes have it.
Done.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Look, before we end the, adjourn this meeting to go into executive session, I just also wanted to, on a very personal note, say how delighted I am, and that you're taking on this role. I think it is a rewarding experience. I think the opportunity to work with the chief, and this is the terrific leadership team, and I mean everyone on the other side of the desk for the Madison Police Department. It's just very helpful. You'll find that you can call Holly day or night, anytime, and
Get her answering
she is at the ready, and has been just a tremendous resource for me in so many ways of keeping us on track and keeping spell check absolutely operational. So anyway, thank you very much. But I'm looking forward to working with you and as the new chair. So, is there any other commissioner comments?
It has been a pleasure to serve with Ed. He brings a degree of professionalism from his business experience and his life experiences, and Ann will bring a different perspective, and that is what makes the board function as well as it does. I've been doing this for a while. I would like to continue through one more term and watch us grow a bigger and better department. And I congratulate and thank Ed for everything he's done, and I look forward to working with Ann.
I'd second that. Thank you, Ed, for all your service, and welcome, Ann, and looking
Okay.
forward to working with you.
Okay, good.
And I'd like to say, I look forward to celebrating you in the near future and your service to this commission in the role of chair. So look for your invite very soon.
Well, I'm not sure celebration is necessary, but we, the presentation tonight was in some small way kind of symbolic of the progress and that this department and the innovation that this department can keep assuming. I think we can argue about the pace of some of the things that we've done or we're trying to do, but there's no doubt, if you look at over the last several years, you know, whether it's the CALIA certification, getting through some of the reorganizations that we've gotten through, we have certainly put a stake in the ground and said, this is how you measure a good police department. So I've just been very, very fortunate to be part of that. So anyway, thank everyone for their efforts and support.
And in February, there should be cake.
Okay.
At the least.
Take it, February. Good. Thank you very much. We're now in an executive session, and I hope that won't take too long, but what am I doing? You're, wield your
Oh, yeah.
gavel.
The swindles that go on a regular basis.
Thank you.
I will
Yeah,
not
if
be
you
here in
ever wanna
February because I'm
learn
getting a
person
new
in
knee
the
January
Oh,
20th.
exciting.
A lot of guys over there.
Needs an applause for that.
Thank
No, he
you.
does a great job.
That was great. Wonderful, wonderful effort. Could we start to expand the discussion for the holiday event for the 250-year celebration? There was just something in the patch about the programs are coming together, and I understand, you know, there's gonna be a line of people holding hands from the surf club to the top of the ring. Anyway, it sounds like there are some pretty ambitious ideas being proposed, and the one individual who is, one of the individuals coming up with the ideas, I kept saying, you need to talk to the police department, because there's, you know, it's gonna be a real, frankly, a real, you know, celebration of Madison's 200th year, if I have it correct. So could we just make sure that the planning doesn't get out ahead of the police department officers who are gonna say, you wanna close the road next week? You know,
So, not to interrupt, sir,
Yeah.
I was in a meeting, about the fireworks and the dates being set for Concert on the Green, the fireworks, the parade. And there was a representative there for the 250th. At that point in time, there were still things that they were just kinda, you know, spitballing ideas. Nothing was set. I recently spoke with Dawn Jackson from the chamber, and she said there is a point of contact for the 250, and so there'll be more information coming out relatively soon. But we don't have anything concrete just yet.
Well, again, they might forget to contact you, so
Yeah.
please, you know,
Yeah.
if you have their contact, say, you know, just keep us informed.
They have sent out a postcard with events and dates,
Okay.
yep.
Or
I don't know if they necessitate the
you
police
know,
department.
along the same lines, as to expand on what Ed said, if we have some names of the principals who are doing Madison for 200 or the States for 250, I would suggest we reach out to them and say, any event that's going to take place on a public road or a town road, the plans have to be submitted and approved to the department, and you guys should come up with a timeline, 90 days ahead, 100 days, whatever it is, whatever number works for you. But you want to have that in writing and set as part of the agenda with no deviation from it, because as Ed and everybody, as we know, it's gonna go ballistic. You know, people show up from all over everywhere, wanting a spot, wanting to walk, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing, but we need to have some oversight and some control.
Okay.
Got a few more things here. So just in, we have Coffee with the Cops set up for January 29th. That's not on your list there. I just got confirmation today on that. That's gonna be from 9 AM to 11 AM at Starbucks.
Terrible
613.
coffee.
You don't like it?
God almighty, flush drains with that.
So, so hopefully
I
that'll
love
be a,
Starbucks coffee.
so hopefully that'll be a nice event for us. And lastly, for community calendar, we have the Super Bowl that will take place on next month, February 21st. That's the Chamber of Commerce holds the chili cook-off competition. That'll be downtown. And that's what I have for community calendar.
What do you expect that Coffee with Cops, what will that be like?
So what we do there is we invite the community out, we have it posted on Facebook. We want the community to come out to meet the officers. We have officers that'll come in off the road into Starbucks, and people will come in to buy coffee. They get an opportunity to meet the officers. Some are new, some have been around, or they may see them around town. In other instances, you'll have people that have concerns in the community about what's something that might be happening. They want to, hey, it's a good opportunity rather than come all the way to the police department. I go to Starbucks anyways and get a coffee. I might just stop and say, hey, officer, I'm hearing a lot of loud music at night over at this particular location. If you guys could take a look at it. So it's a meet and greet coupled with listening to the community's voices as far as concerns.
I like that you picked a Thursday morning and not a Saturday. I think you'll get a lot more local
Yeah.
people on a Thursday. On a Saturday, you get a lot more people visiting, so I think that's
And I'd
good.
like to suggest you have another event at Cumberland Farms to get a broader spectrum of town people. And better coffee.
Okay, we'll have the coffee.
Bring your own chair.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Correspondence,
Okay, we got regionalization.
visualization. Oh,
Okay, regional shared services status report. So on January 5th, we met with Valley Shore and Goosetown Communications. That's the company that does the communications equipment installation, I guess, for Valley Shore. We met them at the various communication towers throughout town. The purpose of the meeting was to visually see the radio/server rooms and to see if they were large enough to accommodate any expansion, as well as the ability for connectivity for Valley Shore to the Madison PD, FD, EMS. The verdict was the rooms are large enough. So that's the update.
Okay.
Progress.
Progress, our most important problem. Okay, do we have another meeting scheduled now that the rooms are
So-
large enough?
The chief had mentioned that he's in the process of trying to schedule a meeting with some people from the state to determine the financial benefit of regionalization. What's it gonna take to kind of regionalize the dispatch center? And answer some questions that we all have, so he's in the process of setting that up. I'm sure he can elaborate a little bit more on that, but.
Also, I've been speaking with the operations manager to go over protocols and procedures with our FD, EMS, and police, so we are working that aspect as well, behind the scenes. We've been kind of constantly emailing, talking on the phone, going back and forth. They've looked at all of our protocols and everything, so that is going on.
This is within Madison or with?
Yeah, so
Valley?
just how our FD and EMS protocols are.
Right.
Just so they're aware of, if it was to take place, what our procedures are.
This is from representatives from Valley Shore?
Sure, yes,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Have you reached any conclusions in terms of the integration process or effort that it would take?
Oh, it's definitely something that is doable, that can be done. Our mutual aid is with a lot with the Valley Shore Fire Departments too, so if there's a fire in North Madison, we already have the protocols in place where they're coming with water tankers, extra fire engines, etc. So it's more just getting online for what type of calls, what type of truck or engine is, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. What it responds, what water tanker, etc. So, especially with EMS protocols, just, based on the type of medical call after it's EMT'd, what, do you send a paramedic with an EMT, does an EMT just go, etc. So, it's ironing out all those policies and procedures.
Well, look at, I think the fact that we've got this modest traction with this and, the physical requirement is certainly a necessary evaluation. Frankly, I think once you complete the financial evaluation and everyone goes, wow, we can save that amount of money, then perhaps some of the other evaluations will have tiny bit more urgency to it. So it's, I know it takes 9 months to deliver a baby, but, you know, this one we may keep moving along. But that's
You may get
encouraging.
twins.
Yeah, it's encouraging that, you know, there's a process set up or there's a process underway and we can continue it, so. I'm glad it looks on the, it's still on the agenda. I know we have to dust it off every once in a while, but it's still there. You may put a star next to it sometime, so. Correspondence?
No,
Nothing? I didn't see anything. Traffic issues, I think we covered. New business.
I do have one thing.
Sure.
So personnel, officer, I just wanted to mention, Officer Connor Sarasi was honored by the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association at the Doubletree Hotel in Bristol, Connecticut. He was presented with the Luciano Award for having the highest scholastic average in his academy class. And he's doing very well for us as an officer in Madison.
That is absolutely terrific. You know, I think we've acknowledged it, but to continue to have the rank level of the officers that you two in particular have played the critical role in recruiting is absolutely outstanding. I mean, I know we have very capable officers who may not have finished at the top of their class, but the fact that we have capable officers, a period of capable officers who also finished at the top of their class is just terrific, and you know, it just is. It's unfortunate, but it's becoming almost the norm. If Madison hires you, you darn well better finish 1 or 2. Don't embarrass us by finishing 3rd in your class. You know? So anyway, that's absolutely great.
And Officer Owen Dunn, who was the Charleston police officer, Madison resident, he will be completing his training on January 18th, and it will be on his own. So he started at the end of October, finished all his requirements for his recertification in Connecticut, and January 18th will be his start date on his own.
So what will be the shift process for him? Will he start out on days
Yes.
for a period of time?
Yeah,
And so how might that unfold?
So he's gonna do an entire bit on days, he'll do an entire, which is 12 weeks.
Right.
Then he'll do another one on evenings, and then he'll do one on midnight. He'll go through each one.
Great.
While he's still on probation, he has to see each side of it.
Mhm.
Okay. Good, thank you. Let me suggest just a reordering of the new business, if I could. Maya, we appreciate your here after hours, so what would be helpful, we can talk about the reappointment of the chairman, push that back on the agenda, and I think people are more anxious to hear from you than this chairman stuff. So anyway.
So I'll introduce, so Maya began in January of last year as a part-time embedded outreach social worker here at the police department. And now as of January 1 of this year, she has become full-time. She was approved by both the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. Maya was born and raised in Clinton, and she has her undergraduate degree from UConn and her master's in social work from Southern. She has done a tremendous job in the year that she's been here, and we can't wait to share all the progress and success of the program. So Maya has put together, you know, a brief presentation on all the good things that she's done, and Maya will kick it off.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, all right, so as some of you may know, this position is in collaboration with Youth and Family Services. So this position, it follows a police social work model, so that is a second responder model. So I can respond to scenes following police presence. I actually went to a call today, and then along with that, I can provide follow-up support to and aftercare services to the individuals we serve. And also a part of the creation of this position came a care team. So that consists of social services, senior services, the health department, fire, and other local agencies, and we meet monthly. And we discuss at-risk individuals in the community.
So just to expand on that, Maya attends the roll calls with the officers, so if the officers are like, oh, I went to this call, you know, can I get some feedback, they'll, you know, essentially pick her brain going, okay, what do you think with X, Y, and Z on that one? But also as part of the follow-up process, we created a form. A lot of times now the officers will just email or text or call Maya just going, hey, I went to X, Y, and Z, and you know, can you please follow up? So that has been, you know, say if there's an incident that happens at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or during the overnight hours, Maya will get that response when she comes in the morning, is able to follow up immediately and provide the, you know, the social service aspect of, you know, whatever the situation is that the officers had to deal with.
Is there an opportunity from a criticality point of view, if something happened off your regular time, where they could reach out and put you in for an emergency?
Definitely, yeah, she has, you know, a work phone, you know, she got, the second phone, so she has to carry around with 2 phones now, so if there's an absolute emergency, yeah, she's, you know, she's able to respond to those situations, but.
Excellent.
So in this PowerPoint, I have some data, but it reflects from last January to September. This data was presented at a Rotary Club meeting, so you know, it's from a couple months ago. So, but this week I updated the number of civilians and engagements I've had since January. So I have worked with 151 civilians in the community, and then I've had a number of 237 engagements from last January to now. And I just want to note the number of engagements is higher than the number of civilians reached, just because I have some repeat families. So you can see the months and where it was highest there. And so this pie chart shows the demographic of individuals that I most commonly interact with, and so that is ages 40 to 64, followed by senior citizens. And so this
Can you go back
reflects.
for a second?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
the youth, sorry, only 1.5 is
So-
under 18,
Yeah.
and then 18 to 25 is
Yeah.
12%, okay.
Yeah, so with the youth, I can't speak to them unless if I have parents' permission, so that number, it's probably a little bit higher, I'm just not directly speaking with the children, but I might talk to parents, you know, who might be having difficulties.
And then you put that in their age category.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And would
If
you say
there
a lot
was
of those youth, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say, I would say a lot of those youths are probably already clients of Madison Youth and Family Services already, so,
Which is why those meetings are probably super helpful.
Yeah.
How do you find the participation of the parents in these situations? Are they inclined to say yes to your help, or no, we've got it covered? Because if you watch social media, parents don't want to be in, some do and some don't, so I'm not making myself clear, but if you were to watch a show or a movie, the typical reaction seems to be, not my child, no matter what the incident is. And I wonder from your perspective in real life, how you see that playing out.
I mean, I think in terms of the cases I've had so far, the parents for the most part, they wanna help their child and they recognize that their child is having some difficulties. I mean, there's always, you know, a few families that might struggle to see that.
Right.
But, you know, I think for the most part, I try to meet parents where they're at. So, you know, if they're not ready to have help, or if they're having trouble, you know, if their child is getting in trouble at school and they're having trouble recognizing that and holding them accountable, there's not much I can do to kind of convince them otherwise. But for the most part, parents they've been pretty receptive. So.
Is there any statistic that speaks to how involved the parents are based on the number of children in a family?
I mean, I can't really say for sure. I mean, that hasn't been a concern of mine. You know, a lot of the cases I've had, I can't really get in depth about them. But I'd say for the most part, that hasn't really crossed my mind.
The only thing I was thinking of is because I have a large family and many times if there's an incident with one child, if there's only one child and two parents, it's easier to have involvement with the parent. But if it's multiple children at multiple ages and one parent at home and another one is working, which is common in today's environment, it would just make it more difficult for you to have in my opinion, a better interaction.
Oh yeah, well that's definitely true. You know, family dynamics are always complex, and if something happens with one member, it could be assumed that it would affect other members.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this reflects some of the interventions that were provided. So you can see by a landslide, the three that I utilize the most are the outreach, the short-term crisis counseling, and the case management. And oftentimes, all three of those interventions are utilized in a singular case.
Can you give us examples of what those three are? What is short-term crisis versus outreach versus case management?
So outreach is me initially reaching out to someone essentially. So
And how can we support you? And-
yes,
okay.
yep. And then the short-term crisis counseling is any degree of counseling I give to someone that helps address some sort of emotional dysregulation or some sort of challenge they're experiencing. So that's essentially, me providing counsel, emotional support. So, and then the case management. So that's me connecting people to follow-up services and calling those resources and following up with the individual, making sure they got there, correctly and they're having no other issues. So in case management, it can get pretty tedious and time consuming, so. But
Do you spend
nonetheless
most of your time in that section probably?
No, I would say the short-term crisis counseling, honestly. I do that with, I would say like 90% of my cases, I'm doing some sort of counseling.
And how often do you have to, it's not a one and done, I would imagine, oftentimes.
I mean, it depends on the case. Sometimes people call after maybe it's a crime victim, and they're just having a tough time understanding what happened. So they might just want to vent to me for an hour, and then I'll never hear from them again. Or sometimes they're like, "Oh, that was nice. Can I talk to you next week?" And I'll allow that. But then after that, I connect them with a long-term therapist because I can't bill insurance, so I can't really offer that as a service. But for some families who are, experiencing a pretty significant crisis, I'll offer for maybe like a month some weekly check-ins.
So the thing I've noticed, I'm her supervisor here in the building, but she reports to Madison Youth and Family for the direct counseling, where a lot of times, like when we've spoken in regards to cases where when the police were at their house, that's when the worst moment of their life was happening, when the family was in absolute crisis, fill in the blanks of whatever that crisis may be. When Maya comes in and follows up the next day, you got a little more calmness in the thing, you could see a little bit more clearer. Maya is able to help that family process, okay, what took place? How can we correct this? How can we assure something like this maybe, we can't predict that nothing will happen in the future, but what can we do to get to the point where we can resolve what caused that crisis? So a lot of these times where I walk by her office, she's on the phone, and I'm like, holy cow, you were just on the phone for 2.5 hours with that family, which is a tremendous service that no police department could ever, the follow-up the next day, go, okay, well, let's talk for 3 or 4 hours of what took place the night before. So that is a tremendous asset that she brings to the social service aspect.
And a counsel to that family. I mean, 2.5
Absolutely.
hours, again, of the worst night of their life, just processing it with someone.
Definitely.
Do all the police officers carry your card?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes they do. And so this reflects the primary and contributing needs. So again, you can see by landslide, behavioral and emotional health is the primary need in most cases. And it's also the secondary factor as well. So when I say behavioral health, I wanted to clarify, I don't mean like chronic mental illness. That goes for like someone experiencing emotional distress or it's a situational crisis, trauma response, and acute stress reactions. Because sometimes I know people could get confused of mental illness and behavioral health, so just wanted to clarify that. And so, another part of my position is that I attended a training that gave me a certification in peer support and officer wellness. And I also was added to the department's peer support team. So this initiative focuses on supporting the mental and emotional health of the law enforcement personnel here, and that is by providing confidential, trusted, peer-based support. And some anecdotal data. So far, these are just some examples of some of the things I've done. So I've provided post-trauma follow-up services through phone calls and home visits, or I'll invite people to my office. I've conducted mental health outreach, crisis intervention, and short-term counseling. I've supported victims of domestic violence through crisis counseling and service linkage. I've partnered with officers on welfare checks and interventions with at-risk adults and youth. And I have connected homeless and resource insecure individuals to housing, food, and community supports. And for direct support to officers, so far I've provided consultation and teamwork to support decision-making and prevent repeat calls for service. So now people have direct access to a social worker, so that provides an alternative to repeated calls through police dispatch for behavioral health support. So instead of calling dispatch, they'll call me. And then so I've provided on-scene clinical consultation during psychiatric emergencies, which is what I did earlier today. I've provided mutual support for officers during complex or emotionally challenging calls. And I have provided emotional support to individuals in need once officers have ensured scene stabilization. So after they make sure it's safe, then I would go on.
And that goes hand in hand with you saying the repeat calls for service. I could list 10 to 15 different situations where we've responded initially, and then Maya kicks in the next day with the follow-up care, and that has we've had zero interactions as a police standpoint going forward. Where Maya being here, we would have had repeat calls for service, repeat psychiatric evaluations, where Maya's now is able to, free up that police asset and give them the services and care they absolutely need.
And so back in the fall, we put out a survey to all the officers here, and these are some of the results of it. So there's high rates of utilization for referrals and consultation. I think I've gotten a referral from every person here, actually, every officer here. So, and there is a high rate of satisfaction for effectiveness. 90% of the respondents supported the expansion to my position becoming full-time. And a quote from one officer is, "The social worker is an immeasurable benefit to the patrol division. We're often shorthanded, and to be able to utilize our social worker for hands-on responses to the scene and follow-ups have been an asset to the residents of Madison and MPD staff." So.
Thank you very much.
That's great.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Absolutely.
At times, do you visit clients' residents in their home?
Yes.
Have you, I won't use the word dangerous, have you ever felt any apprehension?
No, because I don't go to calls alone. I always have someone with me, whether that's an officer, or a lot of times, like, I'll partner with senior services, or I could grab a clinician from Youth and Family Services. So, and I have a radio, and I wear an Apple Watch. All I have to do is hold down, and it'll call 911. So I've never.
And she'll let dispatch know if she's going to 123 Main Street. I would say I'm just making that up, but she'll get entered in our CAD system. So if there's an emergency, we know where she is at all times.
I know you've done an internship before you started, so you've been a full year, even though your data is catching up to you. What have you been surprised about, or what have you learned your first year?
You mean at my old internship?
No.
Oh, like my first year
Yeah,
here? What have
yeah.
I learned?
Yeah, anything surprise you?
Has anything surprised me? I guess I didn't realize, well, Madison's very small, so I think, I've noticed people get, kind of paranoid and sensitive to their information getting leaked
Mhm.
because it's such a small community. So, a part of my service is everything is confidential unless if there's a safety aspect to it, so, that's been really helpful to people. You know, sometimes when I do outreach, I'll call someone and I'll be like, oh, I'm at the police department, they're like, oh,
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January meeting of the Board of Police Commission. I'd like to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Holly, it's a wonderful reminder of what a successful season you and the other police department staff did. You know, with the toy closet drive, it was just, food drive was just wonderful. So, thank you again. And as long as the tree's up, we'll thank you every meeting. So,
I like that closet, it's good to know you have that closet in a pinch.
Yeah.
So,
That's the armory.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
Kids aren't right.
is there a motion to accept our November minutes?
Yes, motion at 17:31 to accept the December meeting.
Any additions, deletions, edits? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you. Chief Drum is taking some well-deserved personal time off, so we are being represented, Captain Harkins and Captain York, who are going to coordinate our normal agenda. So let me turn it over to Captain Harkins. Thank you very much. First one is your report. Wait, excuse me, there's no, almost forgot, normally there's a crowd of people there, but none tonight, so there's no public comments that we can see or hear. So Captain, let me turn it over to you for the chief report, and we'll follow you.
Okay, starting out with the budget. The only notable item is we're over in overtime this month due to being down 2 officers, and the holidays required some replacement. Just to note that $80,000, or the $79,833, approximately $80,000 of that overtime is actually special duty. So let's say, so the town gets reimbursed. We pay the officer initially, but then, like, say for example, if Eversource hires an officer, Eversource will then reimburse the town. So that number is much less. Okay.
So other than what is starting to look like our normal overage and overtime, are there any issues as we complete the first half of the year? Anything, Captain, did you see trending in an unusual way? Are we pretty much on track? I mean, animal control, we were always absolutely on. Anything else relating to the police department budget? We're still under, but, you know, that overtime is always the bugaboo when we look at this budget. Anything else
No,
that we
sir.
should be aware of? So,
Can I point
Sure.
out one thing? So for staff development, we've already spent our budget for the year, so that is one of the items that we're
Yep.
asking for a significant, not significant, but compared to being not allowed to ask for any additional money. For next year's budget, we are asking for additional money for that.
yeah. For the February meeting, it would be helpful if we had, so we could look at side by side. Here's our approved 25-26 budget that's been approved and baked in. And here is our proposed requested 26-27 budget. so, that is going through the review and approval process with the Board of Selectmen. I think it'd be helpful to see as we look at these major categories, you know, where are the increases falling? Is it all gonna be, essentially gonna be in salaries? You know, we can at least make an estimate of what the impact would be if we end up with continuing to have 2 positions vacant, what's gonna be the overtime impact? You know, what did we budget for vehicles and communications? So, you know, again, this is a budget that, you know, we're going to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. Are there any things, it'd be helpful to see, we had the request for cameras. Is that now already included in the 25-26 budget? We were going to add, I thought, 4 additional cameras that I think the chief said they had agreed to approve it out of contingency funds, so it would not be in our 26 budget.
That's correct.
It won't be in the numbers that we submit.
It won't be in the numbers that we said.
No.
Okay. Not to get us off track, so where are those 4 additional cameras from an implementation point of view? Do we know what the timing is?
I don't know.
Well, so when Chief Drum says order them, I'll order them. I just need to make sure that we're all set as far as the purchasing and the money's is all there.
Okay. Could we note that, because my understanding from a month or so ago was the Board of Selectmen had approved it based on the justification and said instead of waiting for 26, 27, let's use our CIP account or some one of the accounts to purchase those budgets. So if we have that, and I don't know whether the chief is waiting for something formal from the Board of Selectmen to do that, but if we're online to get 4 additional cameras in the 25-26 budget, we're talking in the next 6 months. I just soon get them up and operating and, you know, let's go. Anyway, okay.
We actually discussed that in great detail in October 9th, in the October meeting, so he actually dates that a little bit more. And so we talked about possibly having 4 more cameras in the approval, which I believe supposed to come through in November. So just that's a follow-up to Ed.
Okay. Okay. Captain?
Okay. Statistics and activity for the quarter. So from October to December 2025, alarms, we ended the quarter with 194. Suspicious activity incidents were 58. Motor vehicle enforcement was 575. Criminal investigations was 95. General investigations was 381. Animal control, 57. Juvenile investigations, 10. Emergency medical response, 391. Motor vehicle accidents, 82. And community service calls, 79. And miscellaneous calls for service, 741, totaling 2,663 calls for the quarter. Commissioner, just some notes from compared from last year, some trends here. So overall call volume, total calls for service decreased by almost 5%. Traditional calls for service such as alarms, animal control, and medical responses decreased. At the same time, criminal investigations and miscellaneous calls for service increased. Criminal investigations, the trend there is there was an increase in fraud cases, domestic disputes, DUIs, and in-custody arrests. But violent crime remained relatively low, which is very good. Motor vehicle accidents remain relatively the same. There was a slight decrease, but the numbers are pretty similar from the previous year during that quarter. Miscellaneous calls, they had increased over 160 incidents from the previous quarter. These calls often involve non-criminal disputes, cases, quality of life issues, situations requiring significant officer time without a formal report or even a formal report, but this doesn't necessarily lead to an arrest or anything like that, as far as the categories that I capture monthly. I have a document here that I've shown the commission there, but if you want to look at what the just some examples of miscellaneous calls are, you can certainly, I can provide that for you. So just the no significant increase in violent crime. Motor vehicle accidents remain stable. We did have one fatal motor vehicle accident that occurred in December, Cap.
Yes.
But that's it. That's all I have for you as far as statistics and trends.
What's interesting about that, Captain, is you have 11 categories here, of which the staff at all levels is involved in every day, which comes out to about 30 calls a day for a variety of different incidents. And I'm saying this for the public's effect, more, you know, what do the cops do in a day? So they, on any given time, any given hour, any given minute, we're responding to 30 to 31 different incidents, and then categorized by miscellaneous. I just briefly saw your list. There's gotta be 20 different categories in miscellaneous, and that's every day. So 30 a day is what this department is doing for the safety and protection of the town, encompassing a variety of different activities.
So you're saying overall calls for service were down about 5%?
Yes, sir.
Maya, don't forget to take credit for that during your presentation.
That's actually a good point, because psychiatric emergencies was a decrease, so there's a correlation.
So if you looked at this, to Tom's point, that, you know, and we're not gonna beat this to death, but if you looked at this, Captain, and said, here are these activities, are there one or two that stick out to you that really take up a lot of, most of, or a significant amount of your patrol resources or just staff resources, whether it's detective or patrol? If you looked at this group, I mean.
I would say, from a criminal investigation standpoint, I would say fraud. They're very involved. Often we have our officers investigating it as far as they can before it would actually be sent to the detective bureau. They'll do search warrants, arrest warrants, things of that nature. They become much more involved. From a general investigation standpoint, it would probably be our assist persons. We have an awful lot of those, and they could vary from helping someone cross the street to you know, directions to I mean, it could be either, but there's a lot of those types of calls. So so yeah, those are they take up a lot of time, even though, like on this list right here, I go the miscellaneous, public hazard, nursing home incidents. They're obligated to call us on an assault in a nursing home, vandalism, threatening, harassment, incident unfounded. So you might get called to a call that it didn't happen, or we can't show that it did happen. The officer still has to get dispatched there. They might say, hey, there was a debris in the road, I need you to go there and check it. It's not there. Someone may have moved it before the officer got there, but the officer still has to get dispatched to go to that call. Disabled motor vehicle, someone stuck on the side of the road, a driving complaint, door checks to make sure they're locked, a breach of peace, disorderly conduct, dispute no disturbance, vendor permits, trespass complaints, civil investigations like a landlord-tenant, property boundary disputes that happen a lot in town. You know, you planted trees on my property, I need to move, you're blowing leaves onto my property. People get into arguments about it, so the officers are dispatched there. Found property, risk of injury to a minor. So you get, there's several calls that officers get dispatched to that take time, that don't necessarily rise to the threshold of a criminal investigation, but they're going to the calls, and they do take up time.
So how would we look at this and get a sense of the school system and what is their level of activity. I know, that some of the old folks can remember when we negotiated the partnership, and there's still, my sense is a coordination. How do we reflect, because there's some things that might occur at a school that my assumption is comes out of the school jurisdiction, and then somebody's got to handle that from the Madison Police Department because of the threat to the child or what's going on in the household. Is that reflected in these statistics at all? Once the Madison Police Department gets involved with a student incident, does that automatically?
Well, it would fall under juvenile
Okay, it would fall under here.
investigations.
So
We don't really
it's in
comment
there.
much about that, but, yeah, so there's a couple ways we handle it, depending upon the nature of the incident. The good thing about it is we have SROs in the school.
Right.
So they're able to follow up on a lot of these cases, kind of nip a lot of things in the bud before they kind of get started. Now, if something happens at school or outside of school, we're able to refer them to a juvenile review board rather than enter them to the juvenile criminal justice system. So, and they're able to, there's conditions to the juvenile review board where they have to abide by certain things and follow certain conditions, and if they do, that's pretty much it. If they don't, then we can refer them to the court.
Well,
The other thing with the SRO program, where in the past, when the SROs were in the school, let's say if there was a DCF investigation, school counselor gets notified of an abuse situation, etc. We would have to wait the several days before we got the notification from the DCF. Now, the SROs have such rapport with the school administration, they're simultaneously getting that notification with DCF, so we're able to start that investigation right off the rip, instead of, we were delayed 4 or 5 days before we got the notification, where that rapport between the SRO and the school administrators, we're able to tackle that immediately, and sometimes have these situations resolved within 48, 72 hours.
well, I think it's great. Some of us remember prior to Sandy Hook, schools were absolutely verboten. They did not want to see a uniform anywhere near that school. Sandy Hook happened, and then the request was, we want an officer in every school bus. And so I think the partnership that we have with the school resource officer, really has been running smoothly. I think, I'm not waving a flag here because I wasn't necessarily involved in the selection of officers who participate in that and their ability to establish rapport with teenagers, which is kind of an art form, I guess. But anyway, it's good that everything is coordinated.
And our SROs are part of it used to be the Juvenile Review Board, what's the name of it now?
Youth diversion team.
Youth Diversion Team, they just changed the name of that, the state changed that, so they're actually a part of, so they're referring them to that, and they're also actively a participant in that process of everything, so, which Maya is also a part of as well.
It's great, good, thank you.
Captain Harden, can I ask you a question? You were talking about fraud. What sort of fraud are we seeing these days? Is it a lot of internet stuff? Is it
Internet,
still
bank
seniors?
accounts, yep,
Okay.
a lot of seniors mostly, but most of it's online. That's what we're seeing a lot of.
And do we have a lot of joy in figuring these things out, or do we prefer a lot, or is it all over the place?
It's all over the place. I mean, some of the stuff, some of the perpetrators of the crime are overseas.
Yeah.
So that's the problem as far as investigating.
We could process 6, 7 search warrants that go to this server, to that server, to that
Right.
server, then finally it's going to Nigeria, it's going to.
And do we do that locally, or do we work with another organization to kind of track down that? Like, is everyone kind of separately, every town does it separately, or?
When there's bank wiring involved, we do get involved with the FBI and
Yeah.
Secret Service, but there's a
Service.
threshold in
Yeah.
time where they can put a hold on the,
Okay.
so we have a great partnership with all those agencies, so if it's something that happened relatively quick, they sometimes have the ability to stop the transfer.
So it's good for people out there to know that if something's happening, the sooner they report it, the
Immediately.
sooner we can jump on it, and
Absolutely.
you might get your funds
Yep.
returned quicker.
Yes,
So it's good to
absolutely.
know.
Yeah, but, Amy, it's a good, we should flag that, you know, I know we have certain education, we have a website, but the sophistication is amazing, and sometime once that citizen, you know, sends the, you know, the gift card or takes the money out, I mean, it's gone. It is.
With the advancements in AI, people now can simulate a relative or loved one's voice, like it's just getting so sophisticated, the scans and
Yeah,
schemes
so
for
it
all
just-
this stuff.
It's something that a flag that said, hey, from a community outreach,
You're not alone, first of all, other people are getting scammed, don't be ashamed, don't be embarrassed, the quicker you report it, you know, A, you might catch the person, and B, you might be able to work with your financial institution to get your money back.
yeah, and I know, because of some friends of mine who've gone through the process, I mean, Apple will tell you, we do not call you, we do not text you, you know.
And Eversource doesn't take payment by gift cards.
Is that a scam?
That's a scam,
Oh.
yeah, so.
Just amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
The detail,
Training report.
training, yeah.
Okay, so training report for the month of December. We participated in approximately 151 hours of training. The first two are kind of just, you know, OSHA requirement ones, the bloodborne pathogens and the hazardous material training. I'd just like to add, that's done through our online training platform. So even though we've spent our staff development budget so far, that saves us a tremendous amount of money, where the officers do not have to go off-site to conduct this training. So every month our officers are assigned that training as part of their 3-year recertification period. Also with the crisis intervention training, I'm able to get scholarships through CABLE, which is an organization in Connecticut that's big on mental health. So I'm able to get 0% tuition, zero cost tuition for the crisis intervention training. So you'll see there's probably an officer going at least every month to that crisis intervention training. And then just to put that in perspective, we started our process of going through putting our annual reports together for CALIA. So report I just put together was our annual use of force for 2025. Madison Police Department only had 2 incidents where we had to utilize force. So comparing that's use of force used at 0.018% of the times where our officers responded to the community. So all this crisis intervention training, our de-escalation training we utilize during firearms, taser, is definitely working. So if we were a private organization that was operating on that percentage of success, I think that would be a pretty successful company. So I just want to commend the officers for, you know, their hard work with all that. Taser instructor certification, Officer Gonzalez is our in-house taser instructor. He had to go for his recertification to train our officers in that. So we will be conducting next month training for the whole department. He'll be running them through for that. And then just kind of the collect NCIC, and then Sergeant Roy went through the monthly SWAT training.
Do we ever compare data with other communities? For example, your report on just the use of force, and I don't know whether that's considered, hey, that's private stuff. If you know, we're not sure you should know what's going on in Guilford, but do we ever think about saying, you know, why are we low and Clinton is so much higher? Or why is Guilford having that kind of incidents over there and we aren't?
I think overall, when you look at the statistics for state of Connecticut and the United States, use of forces is generally very, very, very low.
Right.
Unfortunately, when there's a bad use of force, it gets national attention and it gets put front and center in the spotlight. We just had that incident with ICE agents. So now that's going to be front and center in everyone's mind about use of force. So overall, the statistics of police officers in the United States utilizing force on calls for service is very, very, very low. So it's just unfortunately you get put in that spotlight where as soon as there's one national, it's in spotlight or everything. So yes, our numbers are extremely low, but if you look at a national and see the Connecticut average, it is generally very, very, very low, comparing the actual uses of force to nationwide calls for service.
Okay.
Captain, you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
Okay. Where are we? Monthly
Monthly traffic.
traffic.
Okay, in December, the Madison Police Department responded to a total of 30 motor vehicle accidents. Of these, 1 was a fatal accident and 7 resulted in injuries. 14 accidents involved property damage only, while 5 occurred on private property. Additionally, 3 of these incidents involved a party evading responsibility. The primary causes of these accidents was driving too fast for conditions and following too closely.
So, again, just to be a pain, so if we looked at Madison, Guilford, and Clinton, Madison, Guilford, Clinton, and Westbrook, do you have any sense of what their fatality would be, their accident reports? Are we, you know, I'm just trying to get some order of magnitude in terms of, you know, what is happening quite along the shoreline? Where do we fit in terms of the resources we have, how they're being deployed, and what the effect is? For example, the incident involving the armed robbery at the watch store a few years ago, 2 years ago, was really unusual. But my sense was probably pretty unusual along the entire shoreline. You know, I'm not talking about the New Haven, Waterbury, New Britain areas, but so do we ever get a sense, even informally, of?
For motor vehicle accidents, if you look at this year, this was we had 3 fatals and we had that evading with serious injury that could have turned into a 4th fatal. Previous to that, we didn't have a fatal motor vehicle accident since 2020. Now, we get the alerts, because we're part of the South Central Accident Reconstruction Team. They're responding to North Haven, they're responding to North Branford, they're responding to East Haven, Branford, almost pretty routinely. They're getting some form of either a fatal motor vehicle accident or a serious injury. So this year was just an outlier of that. We had 3 fatals and 1 serious evading that had serious, you know, bodily injury there. So it's just, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason as to that. It's just, it is what it is. Where previously, our previous fatal was from 2020, so we went 5 years, without one. So
Wow.
sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason when it comes to motor vehicle accidents of why, you know.
Okay. Okay. Recruitment?
Okay, recruitment. Okay, South Central Criminal Justice has a police entry level test scheduled for January 29th. Also, Captain York, Lieutenant Mulhern, and I had interviewed 3 candidates and submitted 1 resume to the chief for his review. We're waiting to hear back from him, and that's where we're at.
Okay, the candidate, was that for, that wasn't a transfer, that was
That's a new one, that's a newbie.
that's a newbie, okay. Okay. Community calendar.
Okay. On December 5th, we had the Christmas tree lighting at the Green. The Madison Police Department provided security at the Green during Santa Claus's arrival and the Christmas tree lighting. On the following day, December 6th, we had the holiday parade. This parade started at the Chamber of Commerce. It went down the Boston Post Road to the library. 2 officers were assigned to the event for traffic and security. I wanted to mention the toy drive. The Madison Police Department's toy drive took place during November, December months. This event was highly successful. There were many toys and clothing donations from the community. I would like to recognize Holly Bird for her hard work on that project. Thank you. And over 34 families with over 75 children were assisted by this year's toy drive.